Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. In this video we are making Whimsical Mason Jar Ephemera. So this is a typical mason jar shape that we like to include in our junk journals, and I will talk about why the obsession with the mason jars. I see all sorts of different printables out there and ways of making your own mason jar ephemera like I did here. But in this video there are no printables and no precision. And there is nothing wrong with printables or precision, but for now we are taking this concept and creating something a little bit different. Let me show you first what they actually are. So here's my journal. Here is my Whimsical Mason Jar piece of ephemera. It's actually a journaling spot. And it will be something that you include in a journal like this, clipped to the side of the page, or in a pocket, or even on the cover of a journal. Perhaps something like this, maybe something like this, probably too busy, but you get the point. It can be all sorts of different things. But the main idea is that they are journaling spots and they go inside your journal. We're gonna have a lot of fun, so let's begin. Okay, so the first thing you need are some book pages or anything you want to use for your base. It can be music paper, it can be scrapbook paper, whatever you want. I'm using pages from discarded books. These books were discarded by the library, so I'm not damaging any useful books or anything like that. And I use these pages for a lot of different projects. Alright, so now that our pages are ready, the next thing is to make a little whimsical shape. We're staying within the mason jar kind of look-alike, but it doesn't have to be a mason jar shape, which I'll show you in a moment. So you can start by ripping top and bottom parts off. So you can see I have uneven edges there. You can do that, or you can get semi-even edges, which I prefer. So if you have a tear ruler, just do something like this, or you can, if you don't have a tear ruler, it's fine, you can just use a normal ruler and just rip that. Your edges are going to be a little bit straighter, absolutely fine. So we have kind of a straight top and bottom, which I prefer, or you can have this kind of thing, which I also quite like. And now we want to create a mason jar shape. So what we're creating is first the lid, and then the shoulders, and then straight down. That's how we're going to hack into this paper, rip down. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than this. Now we're doing the shoulders. You rip this way, and then you rip all the way down. And I do it bit by bit, rather than, you know, one quick rip, which can result in who knows what. All right, so that's kind of like I said, each one is going to look different. Then I turn it around, and then I do this side, and I'm kind of checking where the lid stops. So it stops around there, and that's where I'm going to stop with ripping this one. Now we're going to go into the shoulder. Probably not called the shoulder, I'm just making this up, but for demonstration purposes, let's call it a shoulder. And here we go. Doesn't look like much now, but as you've seen, they look a whole lot better when they're done. I like to only have the text. I don't like any of these straight lines, so I make sure to stay within the text when I'm ripping. So I might think here, okay, that's too small of a shoulder, so I'm going to do this. You can make the lid part, you can make it taller, you can make, like you can see here, it's quite short, so you can do that too. Alright, that's what that one looks like. I feel like I want to go in a bit more there. I mean, look, there's no science to this. You really just go with the flow. Okay, so these are the mason jar shapes. We're trying to recreate this shape. However, it doesn't have to be a mason jar shape. It can be something completely, totally different. So what I was doing with these ones, look at this one here. I love it. It looks like a teapot, see? What I was doing with these ones, instead of kind of going in and out, I was going lid in, kind of like a bottle shape. So you can see that in all of them. They have, let's call it a bottle shape. They go in and out, in and out. I actually think I prefer this shape, in and out, rather than the typical mason jar shape, which is down and out. So, I mean, I like them both. I do. I just wanted you to know that you don't have to constrain yourself within a specific shape. And another thing I want to point out, which is why I'm laying these ones out, is when you're cutting into these ones, you might notice that most of them, apart from maybe these two, they have ripped completely uneven tops, completely uneven bottoms. So I didn't use, here I did use a ruler on these ones, not on this one. So you can really play around and just make each one different and unique. So let's do one of these. So let's call it at the bottle shape. So I'm gonna have an uneven top, deliberately, you know, making it as uneven as I can. And now we're going to go kind of down. Let's pretend that's the lid. Then we're gonna go in, that's the neck. And then we're gonna go out, and then we're gonna round it. Perhaps like this. You know, a few of them are gonna be fails too, so don't stress too much. Just go with the lid, and then we're gonna go in. And I'm kind of checking where it is here, the narrowing, and that's important because when you go to tie, if you're going to be doing twine and you know, stuff like that, it's important that they are aligned or thereabouts. Like you can see, these are not really aligned, this one is lower, but we can still make it work. And then we're going to do the same on the bottom. We're just going to make it crazy. It can be straight, but it can be something like that. I don't like that, so let's fix it up a bit. So just experiment. All right, here's this one. I don't mind it. Maybe I can go in here a little bit. Trying to get that part on the same level, and it's thereabouts, and I really like it. All right, which shape do you prefer? The bottle shape or the mason jar shape? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, the next step is inking the edges, and in my opinion this step is quite important because it really, let's say, seals the edges. I'm not sure if that's the correct term to convey what I'm trying to say, but we will be using a file folder or some type of cardstock or tea-dyed paper underneath. You can see how that's nicely defined, and that's not really so much. So the first thing that I always do is ink all the edges. All right, the edges are now inked, and the next step is to start decorating. I'm going to speed up this process, but first I wanted to say, in order to know how to decorate a mason jar or whimsical mason jar, think about what is a mason jar and why this fascination with mason jars. I would say it's because it evokes a homely feeling. Maybe it ties in with that cottage kind of theme, or a feel, or maybe I'm thinking of a fireplace. I'm just kind of speaking as things come to me. So the first thing is we often see a lid, okay, and then we see a little piece of string tied underneath the lid, and then we have a label. So mason jars are used for things like fruit, vegetables, coffee beans, spices, and so on, and you know, a jam and canning food and stuff like that. So you would often find a label on an actual mason jar, a glass mason jar. You would have a label, and then you would have a little something there. So I think it evokes in a lot of us this whole idea of a mason jar, because what's this jar got to do with junk journals? Why the fascination with the mason jar? You know, you see all these different printables and ways of making mason jars, but it just doesn't, like, why don't we do kitchen spatulas, for example? Why don't we have like tongs in our junk journals, or die cuts of plastic Tupperware container? Why mason jar? And I think it's because it evokes that feeling that's difficult to describe, like a homely kind of feeling, like a safe feeling. So when decorating the mason jar, keep that in mind. Or not, I suppose. I mean, you can put on your mason jar whatever you want, but it's nice to know the reasons why we're doing something that we're doing. So here I'm going to add a few little bits and pieces. I'm not gluing anything down. I'm just kind of working out what I want to have. So I have a label. This label is quite large for this mason jar. So I'm just adding bits and pieces to it that I selected previously, so I'm not wasting time here while filming. You know, we're just making it look pretty, but we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on here. We just want to kind of get things moving. So there's one. Maybe I'm going to tie some twine around there. Maybe I'm going to like add a little flower there. Yes, I like this look. So first I'm going to start with the things that are going to be glued down. All right, there's my first one decorated. Now I find that tying the twine here and, you know, tying it around can rip into this fragile book page. So oftentimes what I will do is I back it onto the file folder first, like this, and then when it's all cut and everything is done, that's when I go in with the twine, and the twine goes around both the pieces, the book page and the file folder. So that depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to be tying the twine, you wait until this is glued on. This dried flower fell out of here. Look at this. Cute. Otherwise, if you're going to do something like this, no tying around, it's just a piece of decorative trim and it's just glue on top of the page, then you can do that at this stage before the gluing down. I'm going to wait for this one. Okay, now I'm going to work on my next one. I picked out a few pieces and I'm going to start decorating. So I want to cut this shape out. This is from scrapbook paper and I think it's going to look great, this oval shape. I'm going to add this once everything is glued down on the file folder. Now I want this over here somewhere. So at this stage is when I'm checking where things go and then I start gluing. It seems like it's a little bit of too much fuss over nothing really, but that only is so because I'm explaining something that comes naturally when you're in the zone. You don't tend to evaluate every little single decision. It's just because I'm explaining it seems like this is serious business. It really isn't serious business. It's just fun. Okay, so the sticker is now applied and now this butterfly is quite large. I don't have any smaller ones left. Perhaps I do, but anyway, I'm gonna have it. Maybe it can be like off, you know, but then it's hiding the. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pop this to the side and I can deal with that when the time comes. At this stage, all we're doing is decorate, like checking what's gonna go where. I ripped this page out of an old address book, like really old from my childhood, and I'm keeping the special pages. So anyway, that's gonna go there. I'm gonna have that on there so I can do that right away, and then I can embellish. Maybe I can have a little bird, something like this, just testing things out. A little sparkling flower. I'm not sure why my light is doing all sorts of things, but I can't do anything about it. And then a little embellishment, I suppose. I'm just creating kind of a traveling effect. You know, your eye has places to go. So just to demonstrate, let's say I put my flower here and I put this here. It seems, see how it's kind of out of balance? It's just going down. Whereas when you place things strategically, but without really too much thinking like this, you're creating a path for the eye to follow. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all of that. And here we go, there's that one. So all is glued on and I'm going to finish this one off when I finish all the other ones, when I start backing with the file folio. So I'll pop this to the side as well. And of course I forgot to mention, I didn't do a label here, I did an image. We're going with the whimsical mason jar kind of a theme, which is why I have chosen to use a fairy image. So of course it doesn't have to be a label. This mimics a kind of a label. I mean, we're not making mason jars, we're not actually going to put jam in them, so we can do whatever we want. Next thing I wanted to show you how to do is this. I don't know if you can see, but this is actually a window, and so is this. You can see this here, that's a ripped window with the page underneath. So I'm going to do that now. I really love that effect, absolutely love it. I think it looks gorgeous. So you have your little thing that you did, your mason jar, and then you're just gonna rip in the middle, you can make a little cut with the scissors, and then you're going to rip out a window, and you're going to do it gently and slowly, and you can make it bigger as you kind of go around. So now I'm going to finish the full circle. I don't want to go into this. What do we have? We have that so far. Maybe we can finish off here. All right, so here we go. Hello. Maybe I can get rid of this section here. That kind of looks good. All right, that's what I'm gonna stick with. Again, we're inking those edges, and I always, believe it or not, well, why wouldn't you believe it, I suppose, I always get asked, what is that thing you're using to ink the edges? This is called an inking tool or an ink blender or something like that, and I'm using ink, a distress ink or a distress oxide, or really anything. I use also things like this. This one's Kaiser Craft, but I use cheap Target, Kmart kind of thing, right? You can use shoe polish. See, let me prove. I have this purchased specifically for the inking purposes. Am I in love with it? No, I'm not, but I'll show you. I don't know if it's the color I am not a fan of, but hang on, I have to get some going. Here we go. I think it's the color. I need brown. I thought this was brown. It says brown. Does it look brown? No, it looks orange. So anyway, here, shoe polish. I know you can't see because it's not brown. That's why you can't see. Here we go. Okay, so I did make a mess. But anyway, I just wanted to demonstrate. You see? Brown. Please. It's not brown. But yes, you don't have to have an inking tool. You can use a makeup sponge or a makeup, you know, those makeup applicators. That's what I used before I had the inking tool in any case. All right, here we go. Now I can go ahead and put any image underneath, but I have this page which I have been using for this project, and then I can take my thing and I can sort of go around and see what do I like. Not really, don't like any of that. Perhaps that would work, that section there. Perfect. See how that little point in the leaf is gonna sit perfectly with that point I have in there. That's the kind of thing kind of looking for. There we go. Anyway, probably could have been a better image, but we're going to stick with this one. So now I'll just apply glue just around the opening. And maybe I can do here as well, all the way up at the edges. I don't want any glue seeping through the opening. So here we go. And now maybe, let's do it this way. I'm gonna pop that one down and then pop this one on top and then maneuver everything in place. Oh, look at this, do you see that? It looks like a little cat with the eye and the ears, or a little dog. Okay, done. What else do we want? So this book has all sorts of writing like this. It's kind of like Edith Holden, but it's not Edith Holden. This is something completely different. And I really love that writing. So I have been including it in these little mason jar embellishments. Even though the writing really has nothing to do with the image that I'm using, I can barely read this anyway. I think it's it's a butterfly. People are not gonna like go in and zoom in and read it and then say, but wait, where's the butterfly in this image? I really don't think that's gonna happen. So I'm kind of just sticking this down just because of the beautiful writing. Perhaps I can do something like this. That can be the lid. I'll actually glue that whole thing down. I'll do it right now. Oh, another thing I want to show you, and I'll show you that next, is coloring the lid. I'm not going to do that now. All right, one thing at a time. First, I'm going to apply glue all over the lid. Stick down the trim, which is now the lid. And now turn this around and get rid of the excess. All right, so here is my lid. Perfect. I might go in and ink the edges, you see, just to kind of make it all blend in. I'm planning to have twine underneath there. But for now, I wanted to add a few more pieces, so something like this. Might as well glue it down now. And then we can add things just to make it a bit more balanced, I suppose, make a bit more sense. And I will have twine, so that's going to help with the balancing act, because I think I'm going to I'll do that at the next stage. So for now, all right, there we have it. That's glued down. I'm going to add this later, so we'll come back to this one. And I only have one more to go, and then we'll finish everything off. So what I wanted to show you here, I'm going to find the lip, and then you can go in and you can color the lid, which you can do watercolors or whatever. I might do a book page underneath just so I'm not coloring my desk. And I'm going to use just a different color. This is a Distress ink, Tim Holtz, and I'm using a makeup brush. So I'm just going to color the lid. I mean, it's no big deal. And I'm starting off the page and moving in so that you don't get blobs of color. Because when you start, see how when you start, I don't know, sometimes if you start on your project, it can leave a huge blob of color and it's not all blended. Whereas if you start off the page and move onto the page, you get a blended effect. I mean, I don't bother with this all the time, and I will show you what I mean. You can actually see it perfectly well in this example. You see the blob? That's the blob. There's a blob there, there's a blob, blobs all around. This one is a bit more, you see, just not blobby. So really, I mean, is the blob a big deal? I don't mind the blob, but perhaps it's better without the blob. All right, so there is the lid colored. And now let's do something like this, because I really like this one. Pretending I have a label there. So just a piece of paper with ripped edges and inked edges. And then we need a sticker. So here I have some of the pieces that I prepared for this when I was making this project. So you can see really anything you place on top. This is trim that can be used as the lid, and like huge, humongous things like this probably doesn't work on that one. Look at this, some of these banner type of a thing. Look, that looks really cool. In any case, what else do we have? Like little labels like this and circles and whatnot, you know. All sorts of things you can do, whatever comes to mind. Look, brads, ooh, buttons. So many things I didn't explore that I wanted to. But for now, we're doing kind of a whimsical look. Even this, look, that's quite, oh, that's Easter, isn't it? Well, Easter is coming up soon, so kind of relevant. That'll look kind of cool. Looks like a mushroom from afar. Actually really like how that looks. I did the exact opposite of what I said that you should do with the eye traveling. I mean, the part of this sticker here does make your eye travel this way and down, but I placed 3 embellishments all underneath each other, which is strange for me to do, but there, I did it and it works. Oftentimes they say if you flip your design upside down, you will notice mistakes. When I flip it upside down, I can see that straight line, but I didn't notice it looking at it like this. So I didn't even realize that this is a sheer sticker, so it's gonna get a little bit lost or not. Let's see. It kind of did get a little bit lost in there, but it will still work in any case. Now that my little whimsical mason jars are prepped and ready to go, we can move on to the next step. Usually I don't do it like this. I'm only doing this because I'm filming, so we're doing it in steps. We're doing the ripping and the decorating and then the finishing off. Usually I just grab one and work on it until completion. So once I glue everything down, the next step is, of course, backing it onto something. And like I said before, I'm using a file folder. These things, and they're perfect, beautiful color, cream color. Anything can be the backing. You can use scrapbook paper, you know, whatever you have for to be the backing. And then I just kind of cut that off. So I'm going to use this piece for my next one. And I go ahead and glue this straight down. And now we're going to cut this, but we are following the whimsical, we're cutting it in a whimsical kind of way. So we don't want any straight edges. Some places you can, you know, emphasize a little bit like I did here. I went further out, or, you know, anyway, we're just staying a tiny little distance away and cutting all around. It just finishes it off beautifully. And then, of course, I can go in and ink the edges. It's not necessary. I don't know if it helps it or it doesn't. I think it does. I think it looks even better. There we have it. And then I also like to ink the edges at the back. And now for the finishing touches, we can go in with the twine. And then you can start wrapping it around. You can use all sorts of different things, which I have. I'm going to show you some of my projects later on, and you'll see all the different materials that I have used, and you'll get even more ideas. So, all right, so the twine is on there, and I'm going to tie a knot on the side, not in the middle, because we're creating that, we want the eye to travel kind of down. So I'm going to pop a little embellishment over here. You can do a bow, you can tie a bow, you know, something like that looks quite nice. You can do a bow and a little embellishment like that. I had to retie that bow because I prefer these bits to hang down and not go up in all different directions. So I actually think I like this look, and I'm just going to glue that down directly. Flower embellishment up there on the top, and then we have these bits, you know. There's that one complete. Now, next I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do the whole thing off camera because it's finished. All I have to do is glue it down and cut it out, and that's it. So there's that one done, and they look beautiful together and next to each other. It's gonna look beautiful as a journaling spot in a journal. All right, next, this one is going to have the twine here, so I'm going to glue it onto the file folder first, and next we're applying the twine. And I can have a little bow here in the middle. That would look quite nice. I think I'll go with the side. Here's what I did. I pretty much replicated what I did down here, up here. Just use different color flower over here. I'm gonna call this one done. I'm quite happy with that one. Only 2 more to go. All right, first I'm gonna glue this down. All right, then cut it out. Next, I'm going to wrap this around the lip. Here we go, just tie that around. I didn't do a great job because it's kind of sticking up everywhere, but I want to glue this butterfly down somewhere. It is huge, but I ran out of the smaller ones, so let's see if I can make this work. There it is. It is what it is. I'm not a huge fan. Not bad. And the final one is this one. I'm just going to decide what to do here. I'm really loving this black contrasting trim. It just makes everything look so much nicer. And then maybe I can layer some flowers, let's see, and a little brad. Perhaps something like this. Poke a hole through there, pop the brad through, put it through here. There we have a little flower. And now, where do I want it? Just there somewhere, just like that. And now we close the little feet. All right, so that's nice and flattened down. And now I'm gonna glue this piece onto the file folder. And done. So this is the non-mason jar looking embellishment. So this is the, what are we calling it? The bottle. So I'm quite happy with that one. And here they are in all their glory, the 5 that we did today. There were so many other elements that I could have explored, but I haven't, like for example, buttons. I haven't added any buttons, but when I'm embellishing, I'm keeping in mind that these are going to most likely live inside journals, so you don't want them too thick or too bulky, so they're quite flat. Considering the fact that this kind of thing can go in so many different ways, I thought that the next thing that I can do is show you all the ones that I've done previously, just so you can get some more ideas. So for example, this one here, bottle shape, and all I added is a little bit of fabric. This is a stamped image and a bow up here, a brad, and did that all of that before gluing it down onto the file folder. So this is just a sticker, and you can see a little bit of lace there and a little embellishment down here, and again it's just really simple. I don't know, this is washi tape to represent the lid kind of look, you know, and then I did this beautiful trim here and a sticker and another sticker there, created that label kind of thing. This one also same thing with the bow up here and the brad and a little cutout image from a scrapbook paper. So we're moving from not favorite to favorite, I suppose. All right, so again, this one here is a mason jar. I don't know why my light is not great. This looks black, but it's not. It's actually navy, to tie in with the sticker down here. That's just a piece of scrapbook paper. Adding a little bit of writing or some type of a sentiment there would also add charm. And then the twine here you can see at the back. So you might like that look or you might not. Totally up to you. This is the very first one that I made, and I was experimenting at this stage, and I really love using this black and white baker's twine. I think the black really, you know, the more color and contrast, the more eye-catching they look. So you can see the difference between these two. This one's a bit more eye-catching. This one, you know, it's kind of drowning in the bleakness, but it's still quite nice. I think we're moving into the ones that I do like now. So here I have lace and that black trim and a little butterfly. I used them all up before filming the video, and just a sticker. Really simple. And again, I think I'm preferring the shape, this kind of shape, in out rather than the mason jar shape. I don't know. Please let me know in the comments down below, what shape do you prefer? This is a mason jar shape. Over here I just stuck down those crystal little bits, you know, a bit of bling, and that black and white baker's twine, and this is a sticker, really simple. Another simple one here, again, lace as the lid. You can see I covered the whole lid, and then did this trim, and then this little butterfly, and a little journaling spot here. Love this one. This one looks like a bottle, and I did a few layers of twine and got this perfect bow where the strings are sitting down rather than, you know, sometimes, you know, I have to keep redoing it until I get it right, and this one's perfect. And just a sticker, just 2 things, twine, sticker, done. This is another example of the fabric. You can see here fabric, stamped image, bow, pretty much the same as the one I've already shown you, just a different fabric. Actually, completely different shape. Maybe I can do 2 at a time to speed this up a bit. You've seen the blob one. This is the blob one, and I quite like it anyway. And we have a little something down here, number 906. I mean, does it mean anything? No, it doesn't, but there's that one with the butterfly. And then this one here, image from that fairy book, a little bow, lace, twine, and a little butterfly. It looks like this little fairy boy is chasing the butterfly. This one here, a little fairy with the gold, I love that, and then this massive butterfly, and I thought, you know, fairies are little, maybe butterflies are bigger than fairies. I mean, who knows? Have you seen a fairy? All right, so there's that one. And then this one here is the one that I rip the middle, the inside, and then have an image on the inside. And then I glued some stickers here, just flower stickers, and a little thing here that says what you seek is seeking you. And then we have lace and twine. Okay, this one here is the fairy. You can see the gold and a bit of trim up here and 3 flowers. So that's a sticker on top of just a piece of graph paper. This is the one that looks like a teapot. It needs a little handle over here. That would be cool. Whimsical teapots. Oh, there's an idea. And then this one here, again, fairy book. Little bird staring at the bottom. The bird is like, oh, there's one big butterfly right there. What's going on? And then we have the yellow here. So just to mention as well, in the designing process, I suppose you're trying to pull out similar colors. So tying it all together, I have the black here with the darkness in here, and then the orange with the orange. What are they? Goodness. Well, in any case, we have yellow here with the yellow bird and the yellow flowers and the little fairy. This is like, I don't know what. It's a cute little fairy. And moving along, again, this one ripped out middle and a book page underneath, and then a little something here. And then, you know, a bit of a lid happening and a bit of twine and just a little flower there and a little flower cluster down there, and that one's done. And then again, just a little bird over here looking down at this fairy, having a grand old time, just doing pretty much nothing, enjoying life. And a label kind of thing, just graph paper. And that's that one. You can see I used similar elements all throughout, because when you start embellishing and with all the possibilities, your mind just goes crazy. Like, you can do this, you can do that, and then you don't know what to do. Here, blobs. You see, blobs? I mean, do the blobs matter? Probably not. And then this one, again, the cutout, following the exact same thing, you know? Once you find something that works, you can replicate it, and they all end up looking quite different. You can see here we have the image on the inside, we have the writing, we have the flowers, and we have the lid and the 1 flower or 3 flowers. So we're replicating the same design principle because it worked the first time I did it, and then, you know, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Really love it. This one is my favorite. Or here's another example with the graph paper underneath, a sticker, and then a little something up here. So just replicating the same kind of thing. And here's another 2 that I've made. You might have seen in this video. Very simple. Again, no graph paper on that one. And then this one here, we have graph paper. We have the butterfly. This is the one when I was talking about the eye traveling around. I love this one because this is a little fairy down here, and then I somewhere, I don't know where, found this little thing. It says, I do believe in fairies, I do. And then we have the little flower butterflies up here and the gold trim. And I love this uneven shape. Sometimes you can get the craziest shapes when you start ripping, and I love that. They all look different and special. And then the last 3, this one here, 2 different types of butterflies and that image from the fairy book. And then let's do this one because I did something similar in the video, just to demonstrate how doing a design and that it works first time, you replicate it, and this is what I got the second time around. So I actually really like now seeing this big butterfly. You see, I don't know, I really like the big butterfly. I didn't like it before, now I do. And this is the last one. This is actually dried flowers. I didn't make this tag, this was sent to me. And then some beautiful stickers underneath. Oh, is this a, it could have been a tuck pocket, but it's not. And then twine. This is, I think, the second one that I made, and I really like it. Here is another example of replicating the same thing. We've done this in the tutorial, and you can see these images are all from that fairy book. And I included them because we're going with the whimsical theme, so fairies, you know, quite nice. And then we're just adding things. You get the point. Whew. I officially have 32 pieces of Whimsical Mason Jar Ephemera or Whimsical Bottle Ephemera. Clearly you can see how much fun I had because I just kept going, and I could keep going on and on and on. You see, I have some waiting. Also, if you can, please let me know the significance for you of the mason jar. Why do you think mason jars are such a popular thing in junk journaling? And what does a mason jar piece of ephemera, what kind of feeling does it evoke for you? All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.